Hey everyone, my name is Ashton Gleckman with the Global Composers Network, and today we're going to take a quick look into the new Synchron strings effects from Vienna Symphonic Library. So I'm just going to play the track that I've written using this library, and then we're going to check out how I used it, and also take a look at the brand new Synchron Player. So here is the track. So there's the track. Some of the inspirations were Charlie Clouser Saw Score, a little bit of Alien Covenant, and It Follows as well. So here is the Synchron Player interface. So you can see our first page is the Perform page. You're going to have all the CCs here. So if you wanted to learn one and you have a MIDI controller, you just click Learn, and it'll learn it just like in Contact or any other sort of player engine. So you can also resize the interface over here in the bottom corner. Then we have the controls page where we have a few additional controls, as well as the possibility to create curves for each of these controls. And so that's just an additional feature as well. And you can also change the different curvature. There's like this sort of cross curvature here. And then if you click it again, you're going to have a much more sort of rounded curvature. And that'll, of course, affect the way that those specific parameters affect the sound. So then we have the edit page, and this is where you're going to edit the ADSR, so the attack, sustain, release, etc. And so, again, if you wanted to make controls, if it's like a short articulation and you need it to be much more sort of tight and you wanted to cut into the sample, you theoretically could go in here and do that. I usually don't like to mess with it because usually the way that the player's recorded it sounds good, and I don't like to screw with that. So on the mix page, you have all the different mic positions as well as reverb control. And if you wanted to set an EQ for an individual instrument, you can just double click and the EQ will pop up. You also have normal parameters like delay, reverb, pan, and of course volume. And so there are tons of mic positions, so you can really shape the sound to however you want it. And over here is where you're going to find all the different patches. So if you click on one articulation, you have tons of different controls within that articulation. So you have the different variations of that articulation, and then you have different variations of that. So for example, if we wanted to pull up the clusters and click on the long, we'll have the different bow styles. So let's say we wanted to select half tremolo. We click the keyboard, it'll pop up, and let's turn all third-party reverb off so we can hear the natural sound of the instrument. So here is or for example, we wanted to pull up glissandi, and let's just do like a super fast one. So this stuff is super helpful for aggressive action cues or super Joseph Bashara-esque horror scores. And so it's a super helpful tool. And of course, within each of these, you have so many different options. In each one of these different variations, you have different bow styles. And there's tons of different possibilities with this library. And Johannes Vogel, who is the conductor at the Synchron stage, did a walkthrough of this specific library where he ran through every single articulation. So if you want to know how every single one of these sounds, definitely check out that walkthrough. But I'm going to show you how I used it contextually and how I used it in this specific piece. So the first sound that comes in are these scratchy strings. And we've done just a little bit of expression and automation just so that it sort of, swells in. And then we have these high gliss downs. And then these low string crawls. And that's sort of like the definition of aleatoric. Like the rhythm is all over the place. There's no, it's just pure randomness. And that's sort of what I love so much about a lot of these different patches in here, is that it really gives you that natural aleatoric quality that you don't get from a lot of other samples that are a lot more controlled. So now we get to this next section where we have all these big string hits. So we have these big glissando. And in addition to using, expression and modulation, I've just done some automation as well, just so that they're even more aggressive in terms of the swell. And that doubled with this other one. Sounds like this. So then we have lots of this type of stuff, under the mix, just sort of like really creating a lot of ambience and atmosphere. And then we have more of these high gliss. So that's all that we really have going on right there. And during this next section, starting on bar 14, we bring in this huge build. And that's actually this glissando patch. And let's take a look at exactly what we're using. It sounds really cool if you want to create a lot of sort of tension in a piece. So we're using the glissando on the slow and ponticello. So it sounds like this. So there is that. And so that's all that we have going on through that first part of the piece. And then during the ending here, we just have this rise and hit articulation, which just really brings that section to a close. And then we have this other patch, which is more like, I don't know if you guys heard the Annihilation score. It was an amazing score, and it sort of has this specific vibe. And then we have another big sort of big swell right there, and then more environmental stuff. So a few string clusters. And then we have these sort of odd, peculiar trems. And then we have some aleatoric sort of pizzicato swarms. And then finally, this interesting super cool. And we've just added on some black hole reverb in that case, just so that the tail at the end of this piece doesn't just cut off randomly. So, if we have it on, and then if we were to take that off, you'd find it just sort of cuts off. So here is all of these Synchron stuff together. So apart from that, all the other stuff that I'm really using is just Omnisphere and Hybrid 2 Project Bravo. And then we also have a little bit of Metropolis Arc 3 as well, just in the percussion, the booms, and a little bit of Collegno. I recently was super interested in space, and I heard all these different sounds from different planets and stuff. And so I took the sound from Jupiter, and I actually brought in the audio file, and this is what it sounds like with a little bit of reverb. Hence why the piece is called Arriving on Europa, and Europa is one of the main moons of Jupiter, so it's just a sort of nerdy little detail there. So that's what we have going on there. And all of the sort of Hybrid 2 stuff, we have some pulses, and then we also have this riser from Hybrid 2, which is like a reverse effect. So apart from that, we just have these low bass thuds, which we've taken from Hybrid 2, and we've just added tons and tons of filtering and EQs just to make the bass really resonate, which really creates the environment of that first part of the piece. And then we have this patch from Omnisphere that sort of sticks through the whole entire piece. And that's a very sort of Alien Covenant inspired sound. This one as well. So there's our look into the VSL Synchron Strings Effects 1. So if you want to stay up to date with everything happening on GCN, check out our website and our Facebook group. The link is down below. And if you guys want to see more, definitely hit the subscribe button, and there will be plenty more coming soon. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.